This is the file size bars template at SharePoint-dashboards.com. This template has a very simple purpose. It simply shows a bar that increases in size according to the file size of files in your SharePoint libraries. SharePoint does provide a file size column, but it's not dynamic. It simply gives you a text value to indicate the size of files. That's nice to have, but it doesn't give you an easy visual way to see the differences in files when you're just glancing over them. And that's the purpose of this template. When you first come in here, you can check out some different theme options. And you do have the option to use different colors according to how large the files are. You can use that or not. If you don't want to have different bar colors for the file sizes, in that case you would just pick the same color for all of them. The size settings are important because you're indicating what the maximum expected size are for your files. Depending on what kind of library you're working with, this could vary. I'm going to show you a couple examples. In one case, I have a library of videos, and then the other one are just simple image files and documents. And so the scale of those files is quite different, and therefore I'd use different template settings for those two situations. The max width is going to be the width of the bar in the situation where a file size is matching the max file size that you set. So you will want to make some adjustments on these settings until you get the look and feel that you're looking for. Of course, you will be using this with a document library. I've got two document libraries ready to go. As I mentioned, one is videos. These are very large files. And then I have another more regular document library. I'm going to be using a template for each of these, and that way we can see the difference between them. So let's start out with the default template. I'm going to go with theme 1, and we've got threshold settings at 3 and 6. This is in megabyte. And that means that if the file size is less than 3 megabyte, it will be the first bar color, which I've set blue. If it's between 3 and 6 megabyte, it's orange. And then if it's anything over 6 megabyte, that's going to be a red bar. And then we've got the bar width set to 150. So we're just going to stick with all these settings just to see how this looks. So you just select copy template and follow the directions in the box. You want to have just a simple text field, what I call a placeholder field, in SharePoint to hold the value. It doesn't have to hold any other value. It's just a place to put this code to get our output for the file size. So I'm going to column settings, format this column, and then advanced mode. And I simply need to paste in my code and click save. There we go. So as I mentioned, SharePoint does have a file size column. What it does not have is the ability to show you a bar, which gives you a nice visual indication when you're scanning through a list to try to identify the size of files compared to each other. So for this list, that looks pretty good. And in general, I probably wouldn't adjust the scale of that very much. Now you might be wondering, what if the file's over the max? It's just simply going to only draw the bar out to that maximum width that you've set. Okay, so that's applying it in that situation. Now, let's consider the video library. I know from having practice with this that these video files are, in some cases, hundreds of megs in size, and therefore I need to use different settings for this. So, In this case, I'm going to use this third theme just to illustrate. Notice that the size boundaries in megabytes, the max size, are much larger in this situation, and that's good. That's what we want because it's going to match up with the types of files in the library which I'm applying this template on. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the template and follow the instructions in the box, and then come back to SharePoint and apply this in my placeholder column and just paste in my code and save. So as you can see, these are much larger files. So if I had used that other template, it wouldn't have worked. I would have just had full bars in all situations, and you really wouldn't see any difference. But because I adjusted that scale, now I've got something appropriate for this library of videos that I'm using. So this helps me to understand the size of those very large files as well. So that's all there is to it. Of course, all of us use lots of SharePoint document libraries, and this is a great quality of life improvement that you can add to any of your libraries and wow your users. So for a very little bit of effort, you can add something that's a nice reference point to help you easily see as you're browsing through those libraries where those really big files are, as opposed to the small ones. That's all there is to it. This template is at the SharePointDashboards.com site. If you do not yet have a login for SharePoint Dashboards, you can sign up for a free account, which gives you access to 20 templates. The subscription option will give you access to an additional 100 plus more professional templates, including this one that we looked at here. I hope you like this. I hope you can find good use for this and apply it in many of your SharePoint libraries, and I wish you good luck.